Ciao friends! Let's see a use case of the Synoptic Panel visual in Power BI. Supermarkets need to understand where products are placed and how that impacts sales. Tables and charts don't show the real store layout and can hide important insights. With Synoptic Panel, we visualize sales directly on the store map and quickly see which areas work well and which ones need attention. We can see in this report the complete floor plan of the supermarket that we want to analyze. You see that we can choose different measures and have the data displayed on the map. But let's take a look at in more detail what is happening. For example, let's focus on the margin percentage. You see that by choosing the margin percentage, there are areas where we have a better return, 45%, and areas that have only 16%. Now, we're looking at a very high level, the group of areas that we have in the store, but we can go at the shelf level. So if we drill down, we can see what is happening for each individual zone within each area. Now, this ability of analyze the data, of course, can change slicing the report by period, by different attributes of the products. But you see that we can also highlight specific areas, for example, C03 or C04, isolate this area and then drill down, going at the level of detail by a sort of zoom. Now, you can imagine that these numbers provided in the map provide a better way to understand what is going on. And so how did we create this visualization? So if we go to Power BI Desktop, where we have the design environment, we can see that this visual, this is the Synoptic Panel visual, that has a number of maps, but we never changed the report page. So what happens? So here, first of all, we have multiple maps. You see that we have the map at the level of detail of each shelf, but then we have also the overall map and the map that has the individual shelves one by one isolated. Now, each one of these maps, of course, has to be mapped into the corresponding areas of the data model we have. We have two different levels in this case. We have the level of the category code. You can see the levels here. So we have the category code and the shelf. And so each of the elements in each map must be mapped to either the category code and the shelf. When you have a large number of maps like we have seen in this example, we probably want to prepare the map, prepare the binding in the map itself. So the map, usually the maps are prepared with some sort of script that adjusted the ID of each element so that it corresponds to the data that we have in our data model. If you want to know more about how this solution can be implemented, take a look at the use case published on the 𝗀𝗵𝗄𝗏 website, where you can see the implementation described step by step, how the maps have been managed using Figma in this case. We use SVG files to describe the map. We describe how the binding has been made by assigning each area to each ID, corresponding ID in the model, and how the analysis has been developed in order to answer and to do some analysis that we described at the end of the use case. Of course, the data that you see in the demo is fictitious data, but we have already seen customers using this solution in the real world. So if you know companies that could take advantage of this kind of visualization, just forward them the link to this use case or to this video, and let us know which kind of report you created by using Synoptic Panel in Power BI.